cruising along the warm coastline, the sun in my face, and the wind in my hair. Or I could be right here, freezing. But I'm not about to let winter get in the way of my time with the all-new third generation Porsche Boxster. For starters, the car now looks amazing. Now, a lot of that has to do with new design elements we see on it, but even more has to do with the car's new dimensions. It's longer than the old car by 32 millimeters, or just over an inch, though Porsche engineers managed to remove almost as much from the front overhang while stretching the wheelbase by 2 inches. It's also about 1.5 inches wider up front and gains an extra ½ inch in the rear. Now it looks more like an exotic than some cutesy toy, but that does raise a bit of a problem. The Boxster now looks faster than it actually is. Now, don't get me wrong, the Boxster is plenty quick, but it really feels that once you approach redline and once you've got your throttle pretty much all the way down, there's not a lot of difference between, say, 85% throttle and going all the way to the floor. Now, some of that might have to do with the fact that the base Boxster's engine is now actually smaller than before. It's now a 2.7 liter as opposed to a 2.9 on the previous generation. So the car still makes 265 horsepower, which is identical to the old car, but it's lost about 10 foot-pounds of torque to make just 206 foot-pounds, which isn't really a very big number for a sports car. You can't just look at that number though. There are other factors here. Now, because the Boxster rides on an all-new platform, that platform is lighter than ever before. They've actually managed to shed 50 pounds from the car, and it's under 3,000 pounds. Put those numbers together, and it'll actually do 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. Now, equip it with the 7-speed dual-clutch PDK transmission like I've got right here, and add on the Sport Chrono package like we've also got, and it'll do it in just 5.2 seconds. Still, with my foot all the way to the floor, I'm left wanting a little bit more out of the Boxster. The upside of all this, however, is fuel economy, and I know that no one should really care a whole lot about fuel economy when they're buying a Porsche, but it's a nice bonus. This car is averaging 28 miles per gallon. But what makes the Boxster so special is that it's mid-engined. This car isn't about great amounts of torque, and you don't have to worry about modulating the throttle coming out of a corner. You can kind of just hammer it down and really just focus on the great driving enjoyment that it delivers. And of course, there's the sound. The Boxster may be a fancy European sports car, but it doesn't sound like some sort of high-tech wonder. Instead, the distinctive exhaust note of the Boxster makes you think about, raw, open exhaust race cars. And yet, when you are not on the throttle, the Boxster is calm and quiet and relaxed. Porsche, with the Boxster, along with the new 911, has really gone to a whole new level in terms of the refinement of their sports cars. It's excellently relaxing, and the cabin itself is surprisingly quiet, whether the top is up or down. The interior is vastly more refined, taking design cues like all modern Porsches do from the Panamera sedan. I do have issue with this gray leather interior on this car. It may match the blue outside, but it's a pet peeve of mine. Gray always looks cheap and really doesn't show off how nice this cabin is. This particular model includes the Sport Chrono package, which includes, among other things, this little clock on the dash, as well as a Sport Plus button. Now, that will actually make sure the car is in the lowest possible gear at all times for lots of fun. There is a downside, however, and that's that the new steering wheel you get with that package actually loses the steering wheel mounted audio controls. And it seems like something silly, but you'd be surprised how much you miss them. And a final complaint are the cup holders. Now, I know the Germans don't want to put cup holders in their sports cars, and if they're going to build them this poorly, they probably shouldn't. They're just not deep enough, and if you get a great big latte from Starbucks, there's a lot of weight there, you go around the corner, the thing pulls over, the coffee tips over, and I almost got into an accident because of something just like that. Now, I understand that bitching about cup holders in a Porsche seems like a bit much, but realistically, for a company that prides themselves on building daily drivable sports cars, this should be more of a priority. If one of my few complaints is horsepower and acceleration, well, that's a problem that's easily solved, though quite expensive. For an extra $11,000, you can get the Boxster S, which delivers an extra 50 horsepower, an extra 60 foot-pounds of torque, and will actually do 0 to 60 in just 4.5 seconds. The good news is the Boxster itself costs just $49,500 to start, which seems like a ridiculous bargain for a car that looks this good. If you're shopping for a car in this segment, I'll tell you exactly what I told my own father. All of the Boxster's competitors aren't just good cars, they're great cars, from the BMW to the Mercedes. But if you buy any of those, you might be left thinking to yourself, man, I really wish I had this option package, or I prefer the design of this one or the engine of that one. But with the Porsche Boxster, you'll have zero regrets.